learning goal is we're going to solve a linear system by graphing. So what does that mean? What does a system of linear equations, and what do we mean by solving it? Well, a system of linear equations is when you have two or more linear equations together. So graphically, we're talking about you have more than one line, so two lines together. So a system of linear equations is when you have more than two or more, right? So you can have two, you have three, you can have four. But in this grade 10 class, the focus is going to be two. When you're given two lines, two linear equations, right? So what does it mean by solving? Solving in everyday English is really finding the point of intersection. So that's what it means. Finding the point of intersection. That's all you're asked to do. So here is an example. You're given two equations. So that's a system of linear equations, or sometimes we say linear system. So I have a system, meaning more than two or more than one, two or more. So here you have two equations. You can label the first one equation number one, and the second one equation number two. And we're going to be asked to graph those two lines, right? Solve, meaning finding the intersection. POI, point of intersection. So this is really what we did yesterday, except we have to graph two lines. Now, the first equation is x plus y equal 4. Let's say you want to graph this using slope and y-intercept. So I'm going to rearrange the equation by throwing the x to the other side of the wall. What happens when you throw the x to the other side of the wall? It's going to become negative. So the y-intercept is the number by itself, which is the positive 4. The slope is the number in front of the variable. In this case, is a negative sign. Well, negative sign means -1, right? Because there's an invisible one right there. And a slope, it's always better to write it as a fraction. So -1 is -1 over 1, with this being the rise and that being the run. So how do I sketch that? Well, I'm going to plot a dot at y equals to 4, because that's the y-intercept. It's going to be on the y-axis. So I'm going to go to 4 and then put a dot. Then I'm going to use the slope as a direction, which will guide me in finding the next dot. It's a negative slope, so I'm going downwards by 1 unit, go over by 1 unit, and I'm right there. I'm going to do it again, and I'm going to be here, right? And again, if you want, so that I have a few more dots. Now I draw a line to connect all those dots, right? Make sure I extend both sides. And that's my first equation, which is, you know what? I'm going to turn this into red as well. So this is y equal, or x plus y equal 4. Now we're not done though, because you only have one line. You can't find a point of intersection. So what I need is I need to do exactly the same thing, but for line number 2. Now, for line number 2, I'm going to use the other way of graphing, just so that you've seen both ways. This is an ax plus by equals c form, right? And sometimes it's actually easier to find the x and y intercept instead of rearranging the equation. Because you see this one, I need to rearrange the equation to divide by -2. Some of you find that's a little hard. So I'm going to do the other method. To find the y-intercept, I'm going to set x equal to 0, which means anything that contains x is gone. -2y equal 10. Y is 10 divided by -2. 10 divided by -2, punch in the calculator, is -5. So my y-intercept is at -5. What about the x-intercept? Well, to find the x-intercept, now I'm going to set y equal to 0. So again, x minus 2y equal 10. Anything that contained y, right? So the whole term contained y is gone because y is equal to 0. Well, this one's even easier. X equal 10. That's it. So for line number 2, I have a y-intercept at -5 and an x-intercept at 10. So I'm going to plot those two dots on the graph. Y-intercept at -5, which means the dot right here. X-intercept at 10, which means the dot right over there. And again, I'm going to join them with a line. Okay, extend the line on both sides, make it a little longer. This is my second line. Let me turn it into green. And the equation of the line is x minus 2y equal 10. Now, what are we asked to do again? Well, we asked to solve this linear system. And solving means finding the point of intersection, which is where the two lines meet. So where do they meet? Well, they meet right here. And what is that point? That point you can count as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 1, 2, -2. So this is 6 and -2, and that's your point of intersection. And that's your answer. That's what we're looking for. Now, sometimes you may tilt the line a little bit to the left, or you tilt the line a little bit to the right, and your intersection may not be exactly where it's supposed to be, right? How do you know you're actually doing it right? So what we're going to do here is we're going to ask you to state the answer and also checking the answer. So therefore, the point of intersection is 6 and -2. And I'm going to check my answer. How do you check your answer? Well, you check your answer by substituting the point back into the original equation. Substituting 6 and -2 into the original equations. Now, what was the first equation? The first equation was x plus y equal 4. Well, let's check. What's our x again? Our x is 6. What's our y? Our y is -2. What's 6 plus -2? 6 plus -2 is 4. Well, that's good because the right-hand side is also 4. So we know this is right. But we have to check the second equation as well, right? You have to check both equations. The second equation is x minus 2y equal 10. Well, what's on the left-hand side of the equation? It's x. Well, x is 6 minus 2 times y. Well, y is -2. What's -2 times -2? Well, that's a positive 4. 6 plus 4 is 10. When we check both answers and they're both correct, then you don't need a teacher to mark your test. You can give yourself 100% because this has to be right. Right? Once you check your answer and it matches both equations, you know for sure you got this question correct. Now, what if you check and one of them did not match or both of them did not match? Well, then you probably sketched this incorrectly. So you're going to go back and say, okay, where did I make the mistake? Did I make a mistake rearranging the equation, right? Is there a way that maybe I didn't find the x and y intercepts correctly? Maybe I tilted the line a little bit too much, right? Whenever the answer does not match, you know it's wrong. You don't need to submit that because I'm just going to give you a big X and say, no, not right. Right? So you want to go back and check and look for your mistakes. So this is what we mean by solving a system of linear equation graphically, meaning we're going to find where the two lines meet by sketching both lines.